day of practice today. Guys have been hard at work, so we're going to hop right into it.
Right left, James.
Do you feel like Tosh is getting enough credit, Dan, for all the defense has been able to accomplish this year, particularly in light of all conference picks, all American picks, to have a top 15 unit with what some of your peers don't view as a whole lot of great players? Seems to feel like quite the accomplishment that you may not be getting all the credit you deserve.
Yeah, I think, Tosh and our entire defensive staff have done a phenomenal job. I also think our players probably deserve more credit than they've gotten too. I think we have some really good players. So, but we don't really worry about what everybody else thinks. But obviously our defensive unit's done a good job. Our offensive unit's done a good job. Coach LaPoy's done a great job over there, along with the rest of those defensive coaches.
Second row left, Eric.
What's your policy with transfer players in the full game? Are you allowing those guys to practice the team if they choose to? Yeah, what's your policy there?
Yeah, those guys for us, most of them want to go find the next opportunity, right? And it's hard to do both, right?
Right, Zach.
A lot going on with recruiting, transfer portal, preparing for a bowl game. Just simply put, how do you feel you and your staff are managing all these things?
I think they're doing a good job. Yeah, I think, we have a clear focus of what we're trying to accomplish. And, I guess I've said before that everybody has an assignment, everybody has a job, they got to do their job.
Right in the middle, Tyson.
And I know you talked a lot about Dylan already last week, but with his accuracy, I know a lot of his success is what's between the ears and his competitive level, but just like physically, I've been pretty blown away by some of the just pinpoint passes he's been able to make this year. And I'm wondering, just from a coach's perspective, what does he do mechanically, or just how is he able to do that, and what impresses you about that?
Yeah, repetition. He holds himself to a high standard, but you see him constantly in practice throw a ball and then go through the routine of throwing the ball again on air, right, in his mind. But I think consistent, preparation, leads to some separation for him when it comes to where he's throwing the ball and the success he has.
All the way in the back, Matt.
On signing day, you mentioned some guys that enroll early. Who has shown up, and I guess just how can they help you prepare for a playoff stretch?
Yeah, there's been a few guys show up. I'm not going to get into the names of who's here, who's not. There's going to be more joining us. But yeah, it certainly helps us. It gives them a leg up, an opportunity to steal some extra practices before spring ball.
For front, James.
What has Evan Stewart's toughness and reliability meant to this offense, this receiving corps? I think he's only had the one drop all season in terms of toughness. Even Nick Saban's talked about it at times, some of his route running and being willing to take hits from safeties over the middle.
Yeah, I think Evan's proven to be a really solid player for us. He's done a really good job. What I'm more impressed with is we challenged him early in the year to be able to block on the perimeter. He's done a really good job of that as well, as of late, and strained to create, second level plays for our offense. But Evan's been really consistent. I'm really proud of his effort.
Back right here.
I know we talked to you kind of right after the CFP was announced, but now that you've had some time and to practice and look over the film from that Big Ten championship game, maybe what are the focuses that your team is focused on that aren't when you don't know who your opponent will be for another 3 days?
We're kind of prepping for both. Really the first week we focused on us and did a really deep dive into us and who we are and what we've done well, what we can improve, and then really this week we're working on a little bit of both. Tennessee and Ohio State.
All right, Zach.
When it comes to the portal, how do you guys balance being patient and waiting for some potential big names to become available versus going after guys that you think can help you guys right now?
I think it's always about understanding the needs of your team. What are your strengths? What do you feel like you're going to need, moving forward? And then a lot of it's numbers as well. You might not know that you're going to be interested in a player, but then you lose a player, and that's a roster spot that you want to make sure that you have filled on your team.
Middle right, Cam.
Dan, obviously, people know Bryce Petcher is such an amazing dual sport athlete, but can you kind of just talk about what's made him such a great representative of wearing the O that you talk about so much and kids that come from the Eugene area?
Yeah, I think it starts there. It starts that this is his hometown, and he's really proud that every day to go out there and wear that O, right? And being a guy that grew up coming to watch games, it means a little bit to him. And then really just the way he attacks the field every single day, regardless if it's a game or practice. This guy has a mentality when he steps on the field.
Middle, Tyson.
Have you crossed paths with Bill Belichick in your career, and what were your reactions to him coming down to the college level? Like, how do you think like his X's and O's and style will translate?
Yeah, I got an opportunity to go visit OTAs before and visit with him on the phone a few times. Obviously, a brilliant football coach, and there's a reason he's had all the success he's had. Extremely organized, deep thinker, and certainly he can coach football. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see his success there at UNC.
Second row left, Eric.
Wonder what the plan is for Saturday. Do you get the whole team together to watch some of the games, or is there? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have practice. We'll have practice in the morning, and then we'll watch it separately that night, so we can, really deep dive into it.
Front left, James.
How do you how do you evaluate the job that Will has done as OC this year, and just what makes him effective as an OC these 2 years?
Adaptability, probably start there, but I think Will's done an outstanding job, and again, I think Will will be the first one to tell you that he does that with his offensive staff, right? We got a great offensive staff around him that he pulls a lot of ideas from. I think he works really well with other people. I think he understands his players', strengths, and our offensive staff understands our players' strengths and how we can put them in position to be successful.
In the middle, Tyson.
When Bo was completing like 74% of his passes 2 years ago, I was talking to Mike Bellotti about it, and he was just blown away because back when he was coaching, anything above 60 was considered plus. You guys have essentially done that 3 years in a row now. Is that something that this offense is dependent upon, is having a guy in that kind of 70 to 75-ish ratio, or does whoever plays next year have to be in that range for you guys?
Well, I think that's good football, right? And I think the completion percentages across college football have gone up over the last few years, but I think it's a product of good quarterback play, and I think it's a product of a good system that we've done a good job of developing those guys to take the ball where it needs to go and have high execution. There's a lot more yards after catch now in college football than there were 15 years ago. I think that starts with there's some passes that are completed that an average depth of target might be a little bit less, but those guys turn those plays into great plays. So you're going to have more completions.
Front left, James.
Your relationship with Jordan goes back to recruiting him in high school, Dan. Just when you know him and his mother that long, what makes their relationship, the Jordan-Andre relationship, unique compared to other players and whatnot? What makes her that central and that important in his life?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been around a mom and a son that are that close, right? They have an unbelievable relationship. She cares deeply about him and his success. And yeah, she was a big part of the recruiting process early on when I didn't get him, but she's been a big part of his growth, in his time here as well.
Second row on the left, Eric.
What kind of memories were from being in New York City last weekend with Dylan, and maybe your observations about he was taking it every.
Well, I'm really excited that Dylan got to be a part of that opportunity. My biggest observations are I hate traffic. Right, to go spend an hour and a half to travel 8 miles is insane to me. But what an awesome event, first class event. And, Dylan's certainly deserving of that, so I'm glad he got to be a part of that.
On the left, Isaac.
Coach, we've seen you come in here after practices, after games, and I've never heard your voice quite this shot. I'm curious what makes this time of the year just so intense that you can lose your voice from a practice on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know I was going to talk to you guys.
On the right, Zach.
Neutral site games don't tend to favor Oregon, Pittsburgh, the Pacific Northwest. How valuable is it to have this team at the Rose Bowl when Ohio State or Tennessee would be traveling across the country? You guys just have a short trip down to LA.
I certainly think there's an advantage right now for our fans to be able to hop on opportunities wherever those tickets may come from, to be able to get as many of them as possible so we can fill up that stadium and make it feel like a home game. There's other teams that don't know if they're going to be there or not, so it's our chance to take advantage of as many of those seats as possible, and certainly could create an advantage for us in the game if we're able to attack that.
Front left, James.
The edge, Dan, is that you never want to be the guy after the guy, and yet Dylan's done that throughout his football career, and arguably maybe was even more successful at times than his predecessor. And he's also been a really hard act to follow. What is it about your quarterback that he's just wired this way, that pursuing and following the bow is not too much, and hearing questions about Bo or Caleb or Kenzie or whatever it was isn't too much, and he relishes the time?
Yeah, I think ultimately the stage is never too big for Dylan, right? He's shown up big in pressure moments for us. I think he holds himself again to a higher standard than a lot of other people do. And, he has high expectation for himself, but when you can stay that composed in pressure situations, and have success like he's had, it kind of illustrates it for itself, right? He's just been really good in those moments.
Last question, Eric. Eric.
there was a lot made of bye-week in terms of I guess the CFP playoffs. Now you're kind of living in the opportunity now. What have been the advantages in your mind of earning that bye?
Yeah, recovery. It's been a big piece. We've been able to kind of distribute our practices a little bit differently than we would during a normal game week. More like a 3-day on, day off model. More recoveries and lifts. Opportunities to take advantage of the weight room as well. And then just really studying ourselves. You can do a lot deeper dive when you have a little bit more time.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.